Record.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of the Zero Tolerance Games VODcast. My name is Nick Latency, and I am joined by the legendary Diva player
Like
himself
Psychotic Kelly.
and Support Master General.
Jason, Cupcake Troll Gordon.
And we're here to talk to you about video games. We're doing a couple of things a little bit differently, as you've probably already noticed. We've got this crafty little splash screen that I've designed within like fucking 15 minutes. I didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. I pulled up some shit that we already had and added some icons and so on and so forth, and actually put like the Twitch URL on there as opposed to linking you back to YouTube, which is this is already uploaded to. Which seemed a little counterproductive since this is like exclusively on YouTube. We don't broadcast this on Twitch. So we've got a few things to talk about. Psychotic's probably got a list that it may or may not be too different from my own.
Give me too much credit, man.
I do all the time. Which probably implies that Psychotic does not have a list of fucking anything.
I've got a mental list, but I tend to forget things on mental lists.
So, one of the other things that I think we're going to do differently is the first 2 episodes, we went over what we're currently playing and what we plan to play in the future. That's pretty much stayed the same for like 3 weeks for all of us. So I feel like repeating the same thing over and over is just going to kill our listener base. So fuck all of that. Like, you guys know what we're playing. If you don't know what we're playing, go to twitch.tv/Zero Tolerance Games and check out our highlights to see what we've recently played. Or if you're here on YouTube, just check out the VODs. And Cupcake Troll VODs everything pretty much every week and organizes them into playlists. He's really nice like that because the rest of us are lazy or stupid. So yeah, I thought we'd probably just, hit news topics and talk about shit. The stuff that we do off stream. I feel like that's a little bit more interesting.
Before we get to that, I do think there is two games we've been playing this week that we are going to discuss. Not entirely true that nothing's changed.
I mean, structurally, I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm playing Senran Kagura, and like, I'm playing Uncharted, and you're like, I'm playing Killer Instinct. It's just like, yeah, they know that.
No, I'm not talking about on stream. Off stream.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I was kind of like, let's discuss the shit that we're doing off stream.
All right.
So, yeah, let's just open with games talk, like what we've been doing, and then we'll go into news shit from there.
All right.
Psychotic typing out the topic titles
yes.
as we speak.
Slowly and arduously, and they can see that because it gets inserted one character at a time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's better than what we had going before.
A little bit.
So I'm gonna pass this one to Mr. Cupcake Troll. He's had a little bit more time than I have with this one. Dark Souls 3 is out. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? How have you enjoyed it so far?
I'm liking it. I'm not gonna call it my game of the year because it just feels like Dark Souls 2 with a Bloodborne skin. It feels like a Souls game. It plays like a Souls game. Everything about it is a Souls game, but it just looks really fucking good.
I think it looks better than... Maybe I'm wrong.
Different aesthetics. Bloodborne was definitely a lot darker. I feel it was supposed to be more like Victorian horror than sort of like medieval Victorian fantasy.
Yeah.
There's a lot more bright colors in Dark Souls than there were in Bloodborne. But no, I mean, it fundamentally is a Souls game. If you've played any of the Souls game and you enjoy them, you're going to enjoy this. I've heard some differing opinions about difficulty. It does feel a little more forgiving and potentially easier than previous Souls games. I am in an area where it's just like, hey, every mob is fuck you. So the difficulty is definitely starting to ramp up. Lots of areas to explore, lots of hidden shit, tons of just, I don't want to say convoluted, but it's like you can miss shit really easily. Like I've missed a covenant because I killed a boss too soon. Like I can't get into a covenant because the guy is dead because we fell into his area during the boss fight and killed him.
That's how you screwed that up. I was wondering how you threw that one for a loop.
Yeah, you're supposed to find an NPC that's normally hostile, but he's not.
Yeah.
And when you talk to him, he carries you to an area and you can join a covenant. But if you fight I don't even know, I think it's just if you fight the boss first. Like I don't even think you need to beat it because you fall into that area during phase 2.
Yeah, no, I fought the boss first and was fine.
Okay, so you didn't beat the boss, you just fought him? Okay. So that's good to know for all you people. Before you defeat the cursed rosewood or whatever it is, yeah, find the covenant guy first.
It involves jumping off the side of a building.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm not that far in yet, but I do tend to think that it is, at least in the early stages, considerably more forgiving than its predecessors.
Oh, yeah. For sure. It is like that. There have been times where I was just like, okay, well, I haven't died in quite some time. And it's one of those, like, I'm not sure if it's because, you know, I have that mentality of Souls games already. So I'm not doing stupid shit like I was when I first started playing. But yeah, it definitely, it's not holding your hand by any stretch of the imagination, but it will, because you can definitely get screwed over. But yeah, it is definitely more forgiving. I will give it that.
I don't necessarily think that's an upside.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely a different game.
Then again, I died to
But I'm still enjoying it. I mean, I'm not regretting any time I've put into this. There are a lot of Bloodborne quality of life changes, such as all of your items, it does the like, oh, you know, you can only hold 20, so anything over that goes to your storage box. Whenever you rest at a bonfire or respawn at a bonfire, all of that stuff gets topped off, which is kind of nice. They don't do power stancing anymore like they did in Dark Souls 2, but there are dual wielding weapons, and that plays into like the weapon arts and all that jazz.
So I just gotta put this out there. You know, they did that with the items at the bonfires, but what they didn't do is like the one thing that really drives me nuts is if you sit and rest at the bonfire, it'll repair your equipment durability. If you die and respawn at the bonfire, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't repair, which is really, really awkward.
It seems rude.
Yeah, and you know, also kind of quality of life changes, but not really. Depending on how much experience you have with the series, not every shield parries anymore. What the fuck, guys? That came out of the blue.
I think that
what?
was in Dark Souls 2. I don't think every shield parried in Dark Souls 2, did
I
it?
think so.
Oh, and then again, I wasn't like I'm not a shield user. Like I prefer to dance around and go for the backstabs because I'm a little bit better at that than parrying. But the the Uchi in Dark Souls 3 has a retardedly large parry window, and you can parry for fucking days.
It's also
But
very
yeah,
early.
I never really messed around. Never really messed around with shield pairing because I was never super great at it.
That's fair.
So yeah, that's why I'm not 100% sure about 2. Because I know there were shields in 2, and I think they were primarily like the great shields didn't parry. Like you could bash attack with them.
Yeah, I mean more like the starting shields. Like I know there were exceptions earlier on, but I mean like when you pick your class and you've got your starter shield and your shitty starter weapon and you're in like the tutorial area and then you shield bash somebody in the face and get smacked for it.
Well, I wonder if they're trying to do more of a, this is your starting class, and starting classes in the beginning play a certain way until you start customizing your character how you want. I'm wondering if that was their thinking with it. Like, oh, this is a warrior, and warriors aren't going to parry. They're just going to block the hit and then counterattack type of thing. Like, I'm wondering if that was their thought process.
It could have been. It's an interesting change for sure. It cost me a few lives. So are you one of the? I mean, I don't know what your starting class was or anything, but well, maybe I remember. We vaguely discussed this a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I said I was an Uchiho, and apparently for some reason in this game, luck increases bleed and poison damage. And Thief has the highest luck. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll go with the Thief since it starts at 14 luck. And luck also attributes to item discovery. So it's like, well, why not? And it hasn't done me wrong so far.
Yeah. But are you getting the sense that casters sort of got screwed?
You know what? I haven't played with casters, but from what I've heard, casters early game are really hard.
Yeah, that's
because of the focus bar.
Yeah, and Ash and Estes.
You're gonna end up, and the whole Ash and Estes, and a lot of people were saying like, yeah, I've started off as the wizard, and like I had to get a sword. Like I had to put points into being able to use a melee weapon. What kind of sucks about that is that at that point it's like, well, if you're gonna go wizard, why not just go assassin? Because you're already sort of in that hybrid mode. And then you have
you can pivot to spells
Herald,
later,
which is your strength faith. So I mean, at least that way you could have something to start off, but it's just like, if you want to start as a cleric or if you want to start as a sorcerer, people are saying it's like, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time until later levels.
It's kind of a nice change because they did so fucking well in the previous entries.
Yeah,
especially Demon Souls. Royalty was just fucking stupid.
Yeah, it was. Well, because you also started with the regen ring or the magic regen ring
and Soul Arrow,
which helped a lot. Oh yeah, Soul Arrow.
But
yeah, no, I mean, if you enjoy the series, you're going to enjoy this game. It's quite literally more of the same,
but faster.
Just but fast. It's basically a marriage of Souls and Bloodborne. So if you've liked all of those games, you're gonna like this game. If you weren't a fan of Bloodborne, you might have a little hard time wrapping your head around this one. But I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've already sunk about 30 hours or so into it.
Yeah, I would say if I was to pick any two of the games that it would be a combination of like a specific Souls game and Bloodborne, I would say it's probably the original Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls 2 didn't have as many, large packs of quicker enemies compared to like Undead Burg and all that. And the early areas in Dark Souls 3 feel very much like that. Like you'll see one or two guys and then 5 more will show up.
Yeah, though I mean all of the Dark Souls tropes are here. Poison Swamp and all that you move really, really slow through. I haven't found a spider boss yet. That's the only thing I have not encountered in this game is a spider boss. And I am okay with that.
I'm pretty okay with, still having an area in the early game where the ground gets set on fire by winged beasts. That's a classic.
Yeah, There's also so much throwback in 3. You can definitely tell is connected to 1 because there's so much in the game that's like, oh, yeah, okay, that's directly from 1. It's not like 2 where it was like, is it kind of sort of? Like, I mean, we've got the Sun Covenant, but that's whatever. And then you have this stuff that kind of alludes to stuff from 1. But this one is just straight out like, yep, no, hey, remember Izalith? Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's just straight like, yeah, Dark Souls 1 was a thing, and it's connected somehow. One thing I have heard about this is that there's 4 endings to this game.
I heard 3, but that's still more than before.
There's a secret ending. Because I believe there's 3 you can get normally, and then there's a secret ending.
Cool.
At least if I remember hearing correctly. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of, and it's not just the choice where it's like, do you kindle the flame or not? It's like, apparently they're supposed to be like legitimate endings.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Few minor gripes. The overall level design hasn't been blowing me away thus far.
What do you mean by level design?
I'm trying to think of how to put this. It's unlike the first one where you had like one bonfire per area, and then you would always find like shortcuts back to that bonfire, and everything felt interconnected.
Oh, got it.
Or like 2 where, you know, there was like branching paths and stuff. Everything so far has felt really linear, and the bonfires feel closer together. It feels kind of like everything that made it Dark Souls is still there, except they slapped it into like Call of Duty corridors. Like, it's
fair enough. I can see where you're coming from that, because yeah, it does feel very linear, and there's not a whole lot of loop backs type of thing. It's like, you know, you find the next bonfire you find is closer to your end goal, and there's very little in terms of shortcuts. So yeah, I can definitely see that. Personally, for me, that's not an issue. But I can see how for some people, I mean, that is a big thing with Souls game, is that, you know, you fucking explore shit.
yeah.
And you're supposed to look around and discover things and all of that. So I can understand it, but for me, that's not an issue.
This one, instead of, you know, wandering around and going, how the hell did I end up back here? It's, okay, I guess we're walking forward because there's that boulder behind us and walls to the sides. Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely do see that, and I have been feeling that, but for me, that's kind of a minor thing.
Fair enough, but overall, I have been enjoying it. Like I said, these are mostly minor gripes. Still probably my favorite series. These complaints don't really affect my enjoyment of it too much. They're just things that are like, maybe this one's not as good as the previous entries, kind of things. Like,
yeah,
but a bad Souls game is still better than, you know, the vast majority of other games out there. So
yeah, no, I'll second that.
yeah, I think that wraps up Dark Souls 3. So is it time for the elephant in the room, or
I don't know. I
don't know. Or are we gonna go back to news and then we'll get to that later?
I don't know. Just fucking talk about it. We were gonna talk about games. Talk about fucking video games.
All right. Let me change up the title. I also don't want this to go off the screen. Oh, it left the topic box, but that's good enough. So yeah, the big final beta for that Blizzard game everyone's been hyping up.
Quote unquote final beta, because the real final beta starts in May, before, which is basically like the full
Early
launch,
access.
but yeah, early access boys. Yeah, so Overwatch is having a big final beta weekend, and if you didn't get in the final beta weekend, then it really sucks to be you, because it seems like an asinine amount of people actually made it in here.
Yeah.
Including KI players.
Yeah. So shoutouts to Gutter Magic and his stream that we may or may not have ended up on. But yeah, so I mean, you guys did most of the talking. I'm just gonna lay out sort of my basic, and then I'll let you guys go, because I, prior to this beta, played more than both of you guys, because a friend of mine happened to get into the earlier beta, and invited me over to hang out and test it. So my opinions on the game, we have not, or at least I have yet to. I played the beta before there was a training mode. And so when I installed it and fired it up, and it was like, do you want to play the tutorial? I was like, fuck no, I know what I'm doing. I know how to left click people to death. And
Ow.
basically, I don't know about you guys. I have yet to do the play versus AI, because that kills the game for me. That kind of kills a quote unquote competitive first person shooter, or a team based first person shooter, to just play against bots. I mean, whether it's Counter-Strike or Unreal or what have you, like playing against bots, Halo, whatever, like playing against bots doesn't feel right. I can kind of mindlessly push buttons against NPCs, or that's a terrible fucking word to use. I can mindlessly press buttons against computer players in fighting games. Like that doesn't really bother me, but play and even in MOBAs, I can kind of just be like, well, I don't really care. These guys are going to play like the CPU is going to play like a fucking idiot, and all I want to do is get like my daily gold in. So that hasn't been that much of a problem, but like I can't play team-based shooter games without like actual people on my team and on the other team. That being said, fortunately I have some experience both in watching the game and playing the game, so I kind of already had my characters picked out, and I'm super hesitant to try anybody new. Like, I'm kind of vaguely interested in Genji, but I don't think I would be a good one, and I don't want to try it and just like let my whole team down. On the flip side, there are a couple of like roles that I play in other games where I'm just like, all right, fuck it. If nobody's gonna tank, like, give me the hammer and the shield, and let's get in there. So, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I kind of want to try Genji. I kind of want to try Mei. They weren't characters that were playable when I first tried the beta. I kind of want to fuck, like there's a couple of other characters that I'm like vaguely interested in, that I'm or characters that I lose to, and I'm like, okay, let me play this character and figure out where their weaknesses are. But like I don't want to just like out and out embarrass myself because I don't know which buttons to push. Like I kind of did that with Diva. Like I am a fucking terrible Diva. For the most part, because I can't really figure out how to appropriately use the robot. And part of that just comes from when I have to play a tank, I pick Reinhardt. And when I'm not playing a tank, I play a DPS character that may or may not value accuracy in the highest amount. Shoutouts to Reaper, and to a lesser extent Soldier 76. So that's just kind of my play style, and I was like, well, fuck it, I'll play Diva, and that just didn't work out for me. So in any case, I feel very restricted as to trying to play these new characters, and maybe it's just one of those things where when the full release comes out and I actually have access to ranked mode, and I actually give a shit about ladder points, that'll be where I go try hard, and the fucking like quick match, I won't really bother. I'll just stick around and be an asshole. But those are kind of like my impressions on like how I feel about the particular beta. Is I don't really feel enticed to try new characters. I kind of knew who my characters were. And fortunately for me, these two gentlemen here have picked characters with different roles than I, so it's not like all three of us are trying to play Tracer.
Everyone's a little bit Tracist.
Yeah, a little bit. So I'm gonna let you guys take it away because, like I said, I spent a little bit more time playing this game and kind of researching this game and being hype about this game than you guys did. So as Overwatch naysayers, what do you guys have to say about the game?
I'm gonna say I have to add another text source to this this image real quick.
So I'm actually going to keep you talking, Nick. So
Okay.
why don't you use versus AI to try these new characters? At least get familiar with the buttons and see how they interact without.
Because I'm retarded and I'm stubborn. Like that's about what it boils down to. Which is hilarious because like I've been taking lunch breaks at work and I've been booking at home, picking up something to eat on the way, and then like eating half of a sandwich in front of my computer trying to figure out like what all my normals are in KI. Like I'm kind of into that and I'm like, okay, what are my mix-ups? How do I play a little bit better? Like what do all of my buttons actually do? But there's something about the core gameplay of first-person shooters. Like I've probably actually put hands on more fighting games than I give myself credit for, and fighting games, despite the number of buttons they have and despite the and I pretty much exclusively play 2D fighters with the odd exception of like Soul Cal 2, but it's on a 2D plane. And if it's a health bar based fighter, basically, if it's not Smash, and it has meter and, you know, it's hold back to block and it's on a 2-dimensional plane, a lot of that shit can still vary wildly. Like, KI has 6 buttons and only vaguely feels like Street Fighter. Yes, you can apply Street Fighter fundamentals, but as somebody who's very like novice level in everything he plays fighting game wise, nothing really feels the same. KI does not feel at all like Street Fighter 5. I can barely use any of the base concept understanding that like I've got from Street Fighter. And again, this is at like a novice level. But KI varies wildly from Street Fighter, varies wildly from Marvel, varies wildly from Melty Blood, varies wildly from Guilty Gear, kind of thing to me. Even Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, which were like almost kind of trying to fundamentally be the same game, at this point are now almost different genres. So, but to me, I can associate FPS gameplay more closely. Yeah, I don't have to buy weapons like I did in Counter-Strike, and I don't have to pick them up like I did in Quake, but the core aspect of like point at the bad guy and press left click until he dies is like a very just familiar mechanic. And so as opposed to the other sort of genre that Overwatch is trying to emulate, which is kind of MOBA-esque, where I would go into verse AI games and be like, okay, what do these buttons do? What do my talent builds look like? This, that, and the other thing. There's something about the first-person shooter genre that just kind of pushes me away from that because I feel like, oh, I'm just going to roll these guys, or nobody else is going to be playing AI, or it's just going to be boring. Something about that, just like there's some competitive aspect of it that I'm like, I want to get in games with real people. And I don't know why I can't just. There's something inherently boring about it, and I think that's the equivalent of like somebody brand new to fighting games being like, go sit in training mode and figure out what your buttons are. Fuck that! I just want to roll my face across these buttons. Like, I think that's kind of the mentality that I have. And so could I do it? Yes. Will I do it when the full game comes out or when early access comes out? Probably. But we've only got like about 5 more hours with this beta, and so like I just want to be in as many matches as I can.
All right, fair enough.
I'm sorry, when I heard the whole, I want to just roll my face across these buttons, I just want to be like, okay, Street Fighter is not the game for you. This is a copy of World of Warcraft. You're rolling a hunter.
For the record, every other class that I've played more or less can pull that off too. I ran a Tankadin through Kata, and yeah, that was just, okay, well, you have 4 buttons and you've got 4 fingers, right? GLHF.
Yeah, but if you screw up as a tank, people get mad at you. If you screw up as a hunter, people expect it.
Yeah.
True, but my girlfriend was the healer, so kind of got away with being a little retarded. Also, when I was leveling that paladin, my girlfriend was a holy paladin. I spec'd prot. So what tended to happen there was when the hunter screwed up in Scarlet Monastery, we pulled the whole fucking courtyard and bubble left. I know it's a 2 silver repair bill, but it's more about the BM.
God, so when you beat me in KI, I should expect teabagging, yeah?
No, but taunts may or may not be thrown. It really depends on how frustrated I was playing against the person or how good I feel about the win. Like if it was a close game, sometimes I just want to take a breath and let the full ultra finish. Like it's not about disrespecting you, it's about giving me a chance to breathe.
Yeah, it's like, taking character select at the last second.
Yeah, fuck those people.
I agree. Fuck those guys.
There's nothing worse than like seeing the guy sitting there. It's just like, you're a 50-50 saber wolf. Just hit confirm already. Fuck.
It's double blind. You've got 17 seconds left. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
So
let's get your guys' opinions on Overwatch.
My opinions are much less popular.
Yeah, there we go.
The game feels very slow to me, especially movement. Very reminiscent of like the original Halo. I come from, PC shooters, fast movement, and it doesn't do it for me. Like, even Diva's booster rockets and Soldier 76's sprint, like, it's still slow. Time to get back into game after a death is ungodly long. There's very little anything on the maps outside of the objectives. I mean, there's health packs, but you don't have to worry about like overall map control. It's just sit your team on this area if you're playing defense, because you don't have to worry about ammo, and then half the time you don't have to worry about health packs because you've usually got a support or two topping people off, or you're already dead. Time to kill can be absurdly long at times. Like, if Reaper or McCree gets a beat on you, you're probably dead, but like I've seen Tracer versus like Pharah battles go on for like 35 seconds. It's like, Tracer has 150 health and you're shooting her with a rocket launcher. Why is this taking so long?
Or literally anybody versus Roadhog.
Yeah.
That character has a self-heal and probably the most health in the game. Like, yeah. God damn it. And 0 fucking range. But if he hooks you, you're dead.
So like, everything about it just feels slow. From time to kill to respawn times to movement, and then a lot of the map is just there so you can walk from like point A to point B. Like, yeah, you've got 3 different paths, but if one of the funny things is, at least right now, people are playing varied characters. But if we were playing on, I think it's Hanamura,
Yeah.
and they put 4 Reinhardts and 2 Meis around the bell, blocking off all the entrances and then ice walling if somebody tried to go over the top. What do you do about that?
I was actually gonna say Hanamura and defending point B. What do you do against 5 Torbjorns?
or 6
like
Bastions? You
yeah,
get fucked. Like
it's just miniguns everywhere. Like you're done. I think that is a good point. Feel like I feel like there's I feel like every time I have like an airtight strategy, somebody pokes a hole in it. The the bastion point on Route 66 defending is not airtight, even if you had like 2 mercies just sitting on you with damage amp and healing at the same time. It's a very exposed area. The bastion point for defense on Hanamura point A, McCree just walks up a staircase that you can't even fucking see and shreds you. That happened to me like 4 times the other night, but hey, I was basically trading 3-1 KDR at that point. Like, I'd murder 3 of his teammates for every time he walked up the stairs and killed me. So, yeah, it's what are other things that have just like wrecked me? Widows getting good angles on me. It's one of those things that like I'd like to, every time I feel like I have a hard counter or like a really airtight strategy, somebody finds something that I wasn't expecting. And that's one of the dynamics that I really like about the game, as opposed to something like, say, Paladins,
yeah.
which has that mentality of first, like Dota but first person shooter, like League but first person shooter. Granted, Paladins is free to play and Overwatch is $40 on PC, $60 for a disc release. And the thing with that is that in Paladins, it's more MOBA-esque in the aspect of there's not a draft, but your team, like everybody locks in a character and that's it. There's one of that character on your team. That's it for the whole game. Like you're playing that character from start until GG. Like that's it. Overwatch is a lot more dynamic. You can have multiple of the same character. You can swap characters when your team is just out-comped. If a couple more morons would realize, oh, hey, we don't have a fucking tank. Maybe somebody should switch to, I don't know, Winston, Reinhardt, Roadhog, something. Or there's no support. Like, at the very least, AoE heals from Lucio would be cool. Maybe. No, we're just going to get shredded by that Bastion 9 times. All right. One of the things I find a lot of people not doing, and I've kind of taken over, one of the things I find a lot of people not doing is, you said like a lot of the map is basically just to get from starting point to objective point. Height matters a lot, and a lot of characters do have sort of like movement style abilities. Widow has the grappling hook. Pharah's got her jump jets. D.Va has her jump jets. Reaper has the teleport. In an aspect to use those platforms and get to those vantage points. And the other thing too that I find a lot of people just straight not doing is flanking. Like, I can come in behind on like Soldier 76 and occasionally clear out 2 people before the rest of the team goes, wait, why am I getting shot in the back?
Yeah, but I think as the game develops more and we see more people playing with more friends, as opposed to, oh, who got in the beta? Like, you're gonna see more focused strategies and better communication, and it's not gonna go over well. There's too much that is very dominant and forces a comp change from the other team, but then when they roll you can comp change back to counter. And
that's one of the things I really like about it, though, is it's very dynamic. It's not like getting locked into a shitty comp.
Yeah, but it's not going to be that dynamic in theory when it all plays out, I don't think. I think what's going to happen is you're going to basically see a meta, and it's going to be very rock, paper, scissors. Like, this comp is what works on this map on this defense point, unless they do this comp, but then this one hard counters that, so then they have to swap. But it's not really a sense of dynamism. It's okay, this beats this beats this beats this. And it's just a lot of, not necessarily like, okay, we're seeing something new and different. It's, okay, they went, 6 Reinhardt, now we go 6 Tracer, now they go 6 Bastion. It's very messy, and it seems like it's going to be very optimized in a short amount of time and end up being more of just a, can everybody on this team play all of these characters?
There's two things that I like about what you said that I feel like are very good points and also very fundamentally Blizzard. Number one is that idea of like, oh, it's going to end up being very rock paper scissors, like this hard counters this and this hard counters that. That's very fundamentally Blizzard. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, StarCraft, like if you roll into an economic opener and they scout that and they rush you, like you're probably going down. And like if they all in that, like you're probably going down, unless you manage to like really stabilize. There are hard counters in StarCraft, like that's a thing that happens. World of Warcraft, I think, has gotten, like, I don't watch competitive arenas. I know that's a thing. Like, I know there's high level arena play. And there are like what 3 comps that are viable in that right now. It's stupid. I watched a little bit of BlizzCon last year, and there are like 2 or 3 comps that are like viable. And last but not least, like in Heroes of the Storm, if you lose the draft, you're probably gonna have a bad time playing the game.
Yeah.
The other thing that's very fundamentally Blizzard is the fact that like if that becomes a meta, like if people realize that, oh, they're losing to Mercy Farah, to Tracer, Roadhog, Reinhardt, like that is just the meta. It's dominating. It's so fucking good. Or fundamentally you start looking at like this comp always wins on this map, this comp always wins on this map on attack or defense. They do what they always do, where somebody like goes to town and gets out the Nerf bat. And so I feel like that's a very fundamentally Blizzard thing to do, is like, okay, we're going to release this game into the wild, and holy shit, this meta is ridiculous. They are stun locking the fuck out of people. We put too much stun on too many abilities. Let's cut all of that in half, just like fundamentally across the board.
Yeah, but the issue is that doesn't really solve anything. The way Blizzard does their nerfs doesn't change the overall dynamics of the game. It just makes it so that whatever was the previous top tier is no longer so, but then there's a new composition that'll always you're not gonna be seeing this dynamic, constantly changing characters thing that you're promised at a high level, or even an intermediate level. Because even like bad, Gold Nova CSGO players know the spots and the weapons to buy, and everybody tries to emulate the top tier players, and what's going to happen is it's just going to be, okay, the meta shifted again. It's not going to be like, oh, this is a fun new set of characters. Let's try out this team, maybe in the early days, but and after every patch for like a week and a half, but then it's gonna get locked down again.
Yeah, I'm really legitimately curious to see what competitive can do with this game in terms of team compositions and setups and all of that, and how much, because no one character plays like any other character. Let's be completely honest. Like, they've managed to create like a lot of really diverse characters in terms of gameplay. Even Hanzo and Widow are like really different, and they're both defensive snipers. So I'm really curious to see how it progresses, and how much composition is really going to matter. And what the metagame ends up being. Like, I'm really interested in what the meta ends up being in this. And that's kind of what I want to see evolve. Plus, it's the first in a long time for me that I've had a lot of fun with a game. Like, the 2 games that are just blowing my mind, and like I don't really care if I win or I lose. Like, I just want to push buttons and enjoy myself right now, are Overwatch and Killer Instinct. Like, that's what I'm having a blast with.
I feel you more on the latter than the former.
Oh, I'm well aware.
But you talk about how diverse the characters are, but I don't necessarily find that to be the case. A lot of the abilities tend to be underwhelming, except for the ultimates. Those are a big change, but those are somewhat difficult to build, or time consuming. A lot of the real diversity tends to come from the weapons, which isn't necessarily the way I prefer to see things balanced, because if maybe it's just because I played a lot of like classic PC shooters, where the weapons were on the map, and you could use map control to lock somebody out of something, or to gain it for yourself. But it's just like Hanzo and Widow aren't really all that different, except her sniper rifle can also be like a close to mid-range assault rifle, whereas his bow is still just a bow. Like,
right, but
that doesn't necessarily make them different characters to me. It just means they have different equipment. It's kind of a mixed bag.
I was gonna say it is. And like I see what you're saying with that, and then it's the other thing is you've got Widow's mine, and grappling hook for maneuverability. You have Hanzo's run speed, which is like fucking 76's sprint almost. That character moves faster than like literally anybody else. To consider his fucking just bounce bullshit all around the room that has killed me on more than one occasion, because I'm like, oh, he's a sniper. What's he gonna do to me at close range? Oh, right, that.
I thought it was Genji.
So I think there's Genji has deflect, no, but Hanzo has that like shotgun arrow that just bounces red shit all around the room.
Okay.
So, and then of course both of their ultimates serve enormously different purposes. Widow gives the entire team wall hacks, whereas Hanzo's really great at zoning out corridors. Like I was playing Route 76 earlier, and we just got fucking team wiped because everybody like piled into that tiny little like doorway that opens when you hit the first checkpoint, and there was just dragons, and everyone was dead.
I'm thinking probably another thing that bugs me about it, especially considering it is trying to bring in some more of that MOBA feel. There's no real feel of progression over the course of the game. Like in Dota, you can level up your stats or your abilities, and then at some point get your ultimate. You've got the talent point system in HOTS with more than one ultimate, and then in this game it's just you've got these underwhelming abilities, and if you don't like it, change characters, and you might get an ultimate before you change. You might not, depending on how the match is going and your ability with this particular character. It feels kind of like a wash to me. It's not. I don't think it's as well designed as everybody who's been riding this game's dick for 4 months has been saying it is.
So, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like it's a breath of fresh air. I also see, number one, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with Team Fortress 2. By the time I got into Team Fortress 2, it was like free to play. Hat Fortress 2 was not my bag. The thing with Overwatch is like, I like the character design. I like the concept of this very like objective based. I know Blizzard's trying to weed out a lot of the toxicity with how they've made it more objective based, and it's not about kills, and it's not about who has and you've got the accolades at the end of every match, you've got the play of the game, all this other stuff. Like, they're trying to make it very much more sort of community and like like when I was playing the first beta over at Sanides, it was like when somebody would get like a sick ass play of the game or something like that, or somebody just like took all of the damage or dealt all of the damage, I was just like, I fucking respect that. Or earlier today when Cupcake and I were playing, I think, it was like that guy had 71% hook accuracy and like got me every time I walked in line of sight. Like, fuck yeah. Like that, I don't even feel bad about rewarding that guy. And so at a lower level or at like the non-competitive level, like a lot of play of the games feel very forced. Like, oh, play of the game. Yeah, that one guy got a double kill 12 minutes in.
Somebody picked Bastion.
Or somebody picked Bastion, or Diva flew her robot in and suicided to get a 4-kill. Like, you know, stuff like that was just like it. My least favorite play of the games are when it's just when somebody pops an ult and gets like a lot of kills. Like Farah popped her ult and got 5 kills. Like whoop-de fucking do. When it's more, there was one play of the game we had last night that was like a guy popped his ult and got like a triple kill. I was like, yeah, that was play of the game. And then like he turned around and picked up 2 more people. I was like, okay, that was sick.
If it's the one I'm thinking of with the McCree, he actually flanked us from behind, popped 3 people, then ulted and got 2 more.
Yes, that was sick. Yeah. I was like, okay, mad props to that guy. So, but yeah, stuff like that. So I like the idea behind play of the game, but a lot of times it feels very forced because you're just like, well, fucking scrubs don't know shit. Like,
yeah, because it's like, what about me? Like, I fucking clutched raised the whole fucking team, and the play of the game was some bullshit fucking like double kill thing. It was like,
no, the play of the game was the tire that killed the whole team.
Oh, was that the one? Okay,
that was the play of the game that killed the whole team, and you're like, nah, bitch, we got this, and you queued, and we were all back, and they were like, picnic. Yeah, that was dope. Like I would have given that to you. Like how many mercies can be like, yeah, I rezzed 5 players on 1 queue. Like then again, how many mercies have teams that are stupid to go down to 1 tire? So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm eager to see where it goes. And for me, there's not a whole lot else out there. Granted, I haven't tried Smite, but Paladins is really the poor man's Overwatch right now.
Or the rich man's Overwatch.
Yeah, or the rich man's Overwatch if you actually want to win. Or you're drunk on like a 5th of tequila.
We don't talk about that.
So yeah, Paladins is kind of like the poor man's Overwatch. Smite came in long before it and has way more. It's way more MOBA focused, is my understanding.
See, here's what gets me with that is, I actually find Paladins a little more intrinsically interesting than Overwatch, because there is that sense of character progression, the abilities. Well, there's more than 2 per character. And there's more reason to use more of the map. It's just the card system's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
But it tends to lead to more interesting games, even if you're playing the same comp against the same comp. Whereas, Overwatch, like I said, the characters aren't really all that particularly interesting. A lot of it tends to come from we can change characters, which, as I said, once the game settles out, I feel like we'll see a lot less of.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I feel like Paladin's card system is sort of their answer to like the we can change characters, except for the fact that there are very overpowered meta builds on each character.
Yeah.
So I mean, as we noted before, it's just like, well, if you don't have these cards, don't play this character.
Yeah. And unfortunately, every character's got those cards, and not all of them are starter cards. Get bodied.
Yeah. So, I think we've kind of discussed that enough. Let's kind of get Cupcake's Troll's opinion on it, because I know, whereas Psychotic was like, and I was like, giddy as a schoolgirl. You were kind of on the hype train for a while, and then just stopped caring. So, what are your opinions now that you've actually gotten some hands on the game?
Yeah. So, like you said, I was really interested when it was first announced. I'm like, all right, this sounds really cool. It's more of a, there's less of that, like, okay, I have to worry about choosing the perfect talent. And, even with the talent system, there's very few times you're going to be straying from specific talent. So to me, unless a talent system, each talent for whatever ability you're choosing has a significant purpose, you're just going to choose the one that fits. So I was kind of like, okay, cool. That's one less thing I have to worry about. And I just, do what I need to do, left click to death. I've got one button that does this ability and another button that does something else. Cool. I can get behind that. And for me, it was just a lot of like, I'm hearing a lot about it, and it's like, okay, I'm not in the beta, so I've kind of lost interest at this point. But now that I've gotten into it, and at first I was still kind of on that, whatever. I do feel that it's slow. It's just, there's a lot of times where it's like, okay, I'm dead. I have to go all the way across the map now to fucking get back into it. And, oh, hey, the 3 or 4 people that were there are now dead. And I've stepped around the corner into the, rest of the enemy teams. Like, all right, well, cool. That was a thing. That took me like fucking a minute to do. But, I think finding a character and having a couple of friends to play with has swayed me into I can get behind it. But I think only if all of that is there. Like, I have the character, groovy. I should probably find at least one more character. And then, like, if you guys aren't playing, I have no interest in playing. Like, at least one of you needs to be on. Like, if I don't have at least a friend to play with, I don't have any interest in logging in.
Okay.
But I have that sort of feeling with a lot of competitive multiplayer games that I hate going solo. Like, I'd rather take a belt sander to my face.
So pretty much anything team-based. You're just like, if I can't speak to anyone on my team, if I don't know people on my team, then I don't want to play this team game.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I know some people are totally fine rocking it solo on those types of things. And, whatever, that's you. Knock yourself out. But I just don't have fun playing team-based games alone. It's just kind of like, I'd play anything else. I'd play a solo game at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of why I can't like play HOTS anymore, is just because I like salt OD. Like, it gets so bad because it's not even necessarily that matchmaking gets terrible. Like, yeah, you get the person that like AFKs or just like walks 1v5 into the enemy team or that kind of shit, but there's also a lot of stuff that comes from players of like the same skill level that don't agree on how to handle certain objectives or don't agree on how to handle certain timings, and that just fucks everything all to shit. And it's just like, okay, well, the map objective is coming up in 13 seconds. We can get this merc camp if we hurry, and then ambush them down at the objective point. And then player B is like, no, the objective point is way more important. And then player C is like, no, we should lane to get the experience. And then 2 people show up to the objective point. 2 guys are doing mercs, and 1 guy is laning. The guy in lane gets ganked. The 2 at the objective get fucked. And then the mercs are like marching down lane, and it's 2v5.
Yeah.
So it is an aspect of teamwork is just as fucking important as the skill level. Because if everybody's on the same skill level and 5 people are doing 5 separate things, and the other team, hell, even if the other team's of a lower skill level, but all 5 people agree to do the same fucking thing, they're probably gonna win.
Yeah, and that's happened a few times. Like, even when we were playing earlier, there was times where it was like, okay, you and I went one way to flank, and then like 2 people went to or like 2 or 3 people went to the objective, and the rest went elsewhere. It was like, the people at the point got decimated. They didn't take down a single person. It was like, well, okay, that was awesome. And then it just snowballed from there because, we were all now coming at them essentially one at a time.
Yeah. So
it's like, for me, it's like, as long as I have somebody there who I know I can trust, I can be like, all right, cool, whatever. But for some reason, I can't do those games solo.
Cupcake Troll will attest to this. Two of the things that I've said repeatedly today, seeing as how Cupcake Troll plays Mercy as a support, two of the things I've said repeatedly today are, why is no one on the point, and why do we not have a tank? Because nobody communicates, and everybody's just like, oh, well, this character isn't working for me, so I need more DPS, or I need more this, or this isn't any fun for me, it's not my playstyle. And then you end up with this weird lopsided team where the enemy's running like 2 Roadhogs, 2 Junkrats, like a Torbjorn and a Bastion on defending point B in Hanamura, and you're just like, I've got 2 Tracers, a Reaper, a Hanzo, a Widowmaker, and a Mercy? What? How are we gonna win this?
You don't have to worry about a lack of tank if I'm around.
And that's one of the things that I like really enjoyed the first night playing this game, was that all 3 of us fit perfectly into different roles, and that allowed us to take half of the team and basically be like, okay, everybody else play whatever the fuck you want. The 3 key things that we need are locked down.
Yeah.
And we're communicating.
Yeah, and I think that's the main reason I was enjoying it so much is because there was the 3 of us. We had that sort of like, okay, support, tank, and whatever the fuck else you wanted to play at the time.
Damage mostly. I played Reaper
so it was just
76.
like, all right, cool. Like, we don't have to worry, and we could communicate. And I mean, that's just what I like. I mean, if I'm playing a team game, I want to play with the team.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that the fundamental, like one of the fundamental enjoyments of playing a team game is being able to talk to your team. So, and
this being a Blizzard game, that's not going to work out so well. Oh yeah, you can mute your whole team now. Like, what the fuck?
Ironically, for better or for worse, Blizzard is trying to remove that as much as humanly possible, and I get it, because they don't want to be the next League of Legends. Because I feel like the difference between League of Legends and Dota is that in Dota you get cursed at in Russian. Like, that's the primary difference between the 2 of those games.
Not a problem for T34.
So
yeah, this just goes back to something I've been saying for over 2 years now. Don't play MOBAs with randos.
Yeah, I had to quit. I couldn't do it anymore. I purchased the entire character roster, and I had to quit. I'm now in rehab for my crippling HOTS addiction.
And the only cure is more KI. There's a game where you can purchase all the characters and not have to worry about teammates fucking it up for you.
Yep. So yeah, KI is. I was gonna say, if we were to relate this to if I had a terrible smoking habit, I'm pretty sure at this point, like, I quit HOTS. KI is my rehab, and Overwatch is my Nico patch. Like, I still need that little dose. I still need to get something like that in me. But this is the way out of the life. So, yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. If there's anything else you want to say about Overwatch.
Nah, that's pretty much it. It's like, I want to like it more, but I think because of my feelings on team games, it's like, unless I've got 1 or 2 people to play with, I will probably rarely, like, I'll probably be like you, like, I need that fixed because it's somewhat enjoyable, and I'll play 1 or 2 matches and be like, fuck this shit, and, go back to something else.
That's like me in Street Fighter V Ranked.
I'll say this much. If neither of you are on, I wouldn't even bother firing it up for those 1 or 2 matches. I'd just hit a ladder in KI.
Yeah. SF5 ladder. First game against Bison. Second game against Karin. Third game, throw stick. It's about where I was at. But hey, KI lets me push buttons, so that's points in its favor.
It lets you push buttons while you're dying. It's great.
That's probably like the worst part of why it's attractive to me, is that when I get stuck in a 50% combo, at least there's a chance that I might be able to get myself out of it. But in SF5, if I fuck up and I'm in a 50% combo, another one of those and it's on to...
Yeah.
So, yeah, if that's all we got to say about Overwatch. Sai, you've got some stuff that you've got mentally logged away. I've got stuff written down. I kind of came prepared, but
Miscellaneous news stuff. Gamefront is shutting down at the end of the month.
that sounds
Really?
really familiar. Was that a publication or was that a online online retail store?
Neither. It was more of like a file sharing site. That's where a lot of the big mods from back in the day went and everything.
Oh,
fuck
yeah, I
was
remember.
thinking File Front. Yeah.
And the
Shit.
demos and stuff like that. Like people are trying to archive
wow.
it, but yeah, it's going down at the end of the month.
Wow.
That's a huge loss for a lot of the classic mods and the modding community in general.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of PC gaming. You can make
absolutely.
you can make old games great again. Like the System Shock 2 texture patch makes that game look so good.
Or the ACM overhaul that somebody did.
I wouldn't even bother. I don't care how much they overhauled it. It's still ACM.
Yeah, somebody like legitimately went on like a fucking 5-year mission, was like, make Colonial Marines great again. And we should really just take the again out of the end of that sentence, because you'd have to make Colonial Marines great in the first place.
I feel like even making Colonial Marines great is asking too much. Make Colonial Marines passable. Like that's probably as far as you're gonna get.
Make Colonial Marines isolation. Yeah, wow, that's and that's really bad, given that, like, as an archive, it's not like one of those things where it's just like, oh, new games coming out, we'll have to find other places to host, or games that are currently on the market will have to find other places to host. Games that are like already on the market already have other fucking places to host, but it's just like, thank you. Oh, was that Envy?
Yep.
Okay. I was like, really, I was waiting for it. I heard the noise and I was like, and his name is John Cena.
Oh, he's typing. We're about to get air horned during our podcast.
Yeah, probably. Not if I beat him to it. So,
another one.
Oh, we should do all our broadcasts in general. So, okay, so it's to me, it's more the loss of being able to get those texture packs for vintage games, or get those mods for older style games. That fucking blows.
So hopefully the archive process goes well.
Yeah.
Obviously, some things are going to be lost to time, and that's gonna suck.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the topic of the two things that we just most recently discussed, Blizzard and things going down. Let's talk about that vanilla server that got hit by, what was it, a C&D or a copyright?
C&D.
DMCA something? C&D. So, and I can't remember the name of the server, but I could probably look it up in about 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, that's the one where they had like that march thing that they did. That's something else.
No, Nostralius was the name of the server, and Blizzard hit them with the C&D for the sake of defending their copyrights. But it was a vanilla WoW private server. There were no it might have patched to like the last version of vanilla pre-TBC. But there were no expansions on that. It was a pure like vanilla WoW experience for the people that wanted to play vanilla WoW without all the. I mean, obviously you can do old content stuff, but it's not the same with all the talent overhauls and the new races and classes and all that other bullshit.
Yep.
So, like, I like the idea that somebody was like, had the ingenuity to be all like, we should make this a thing for people who want this thing, and we're able to piece it together. And it sucks because I kind of understand why Blizzard did it. Like, the point behind a copyright kind of has to be a zero tolerance policy. You know, whether these guys are cultivating a vanilla community around like vintage, old school World of Warcraft, or somebody's managed to basically set up a fucking free to play, donate all your money and I'll make you a OP server like fucking Ragnarok Online did for 100 million years. Like, if you smack down one, you can't really allow the other to live.
Right.
And so, like, I understand why they did it, but it does kind of feel like a loss to the World of Warcraft community. Like, I do feel bad for the WoW community. I do feel bad for the players that enjoy that type of experience. I mean, I'm on whatever our current update is, like fucking 6.2 or whatever the shit. And it's awful. Warlords of Draenor is fucking awful. Everything about that expansion was canceled.
Everything since Cat has been awful. What are you talking about?
Well, that's exactly it. Is I quit for Pandaria. Like, pandas were coming out, I was like, oh, it's the race that I've been most looking forward to, and all these talent changes, and literally everything else sucks ass. So yeah, I quit for Panda, but and then Sale got me back in, dragged me back in when WoD was coming out. I literally bought that online at launch, like a couple hours before it went live. To play with her, and then we spent like 2 hours waiting for servers to be fixed, and we couldn't click on a fucking telescope in order to build our garrisons. So it was pretty much like every other Blizzard launch in the history of ever.
Every time Blizzard launches a game,
Deanna's
they
listening
should
to
just
this.
make the BattleNet client play the nuclear launch detected sound from OG StarCraft.
They should just replace the BattleNet client with a picture of Error 37 from the Diablo 3 launch. Like, just in advance, like, know that your servers are going to get double the traffic that your stress tests tell you that you can tolerate, and just be like, okay, midnight launch, JK, we're actually manually taking the servers down so we can repurpose all these low population World of Warcraft servers into servers for this new game. Which was legitimately a thing that happened on D3 launch night. Like, they took low pop or unused WoW servers and basically installed D3 on them. So that they could try and handle all of the traffic. And it still wasn't working by like 4 a.m. It was bad.
So what I'm getting out of this is Blizzard needs to find the reverse lizard squad.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how you would go about like anti-DDoSing yourself or DDoS proofing yourself, but yeah, that'd be nifty. The and I know it's gonna eat shit and nobody's gonna care. Especially ActaBliz being who and what they are. But I do really appreciate that the guys running the Nostralia server have basically an open letter petition to Blizzard, to specifically Mike Morihime, asking Blizzard to contact them about how to get help setting up these legacy servers. Like, if you're not going to allow players to run their own legacy servers, and there are players that want legacy servers, look into how you can make that happen.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't have to be a lot. I can't imagine the population on a legacy server would be half the population of like their highest pop server right now. Like, maybe a quarter of that tops of people that would want to play on that legacy server, that would want accounts on that legacy server.
It really depends on the legacy, because I mean, you know, if you go back to to Wrath,
TBC or Lich King.
or Burning Crusade, I feel like you would have probably more people that would want to play consistently than you currently have.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'd give him $15 a month to play Wrath. I'm a Kata baby, and I'd pay him $15 a month just to play Wrath. Like, that was a cool expansion. I liked the aesthetic of it. I'm in love with my Death Knight. Like, and Kata was solid. Kata was solid for the content that it provided. Plus it kind of gave a lot of vanilla sort of an overhaul. Which after 2 expansions and doing literally nothing with the vanilla, you kind of needed to give the new player something that made them feel like they were involved with the world that was happening, instead of just being like, all right, congratulations, you're level 1, here's all of your basic clothes and your wooden sword that doesn't do fucking anything. We'll see you in about 1200 hours when you hit max level. Bye.
So basically what you're saying is if we want a new vanilla WoW experience, we should let FromSoft make it?
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
So, yeah. Or fuck it, just play Dark Souls. Don't play WoW, just play Dark Souls.
That's the answer to almost everything.
Don't play WoW, I agree.
No, just play Dark Souls.
So, but yeah, I would love to see Blizzard actually do something with this. I know they're not going to, but I would love to see legacy servers be a thing. I would love to see, because to me that would allow me the experience that like a lot of those older school players have. It would also add more merit to like these, well, I've been playing since vanilla and like this new shit's for babies. Like it would kind of add more merit to that sort of like salty old sea dog mentality of, you know, I've been playing this game for so long and things were so much harder or things were so much different. It's just like, no, go back and see how fucking different things were and then tell me that this is a good game kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like, go join a vanilla server and tell me that I'm whiny.
Go play Super Turbo, youngin'.
Yeah, basically. Oh, little baby gonna cry about his option selects? Walk forward, medium punch.
Yeah, we had one button option selects back in the day.
Yeah. The option selected itself. There was one input. It just decided what it was gonna do. None of this Mike Ross option select bullshit.
Well, back then, Mike Ross knew which options he was selecting.
And he was selecting them. So, what else you got?
Very little. I think we spent, a considerable amount of time on Overwatch and Filefront, vanilla WoW servers. So I think our discussion of classic era games can wait another week.
All right. So let me hit a couple of things. Number one, early, I think it was Monday this week, Titanfall 2 got announced as if we didn't see that coming from Electronic Arts and Respawn. Like, you have the guys that were formerly the people that made Call of Duty for Activision, and the people that are pretty much the people that got like worst company 2 years running. So, like, we didn't see them just shitting out another sequel of a mediocre game. Let's be completely honest. I liked Titanfall when it came out. I think we all had a good time like 3-manning Titanfall when it came out. And Titanfall definitely was more your speed game side. Yeah. And I really appreciated the movement options in that game. I definitely don't think that that Overwatch would fundamentally crumble if there were more or better movement options. I mean, Farrah is the only one with an actual rocket jump, and she has built-in rockets. Like, and I'm not talking about the launcher. Like, I'm talking about like actual flight.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think that game wouldn't benefit from having more movement options. But so Titanfall 2 has been announced, and in traditional AAA style, we announced a trailer for a trailer, effectively.
I've got a question.
Um,
When did Titanfall come out? Was it last year or the year before?
I think it was the year before.
Okay, so it's not annualized yet. EA is not as evil
No.
as we thought.
No, EA is not as evil
March
as, say,
11th,
Activision.
2014.
Yeah. EA is not as evil as, say, Ubisoft or Activision. So, or at the very least, Respawn isn't.
Oh, something else I just thought of. I want to roll back for a brief moment to something we were talking about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I just thought of a downside to legacy servers as far as World of Warcraft goes. If that goes well, they might bring back legacy servers for Diablo 3. At the auction house will come back, and that'll just be like super scummy, and we can't allow that to happen.
I was gonna say, I think we realized what a huge fucking mistake that was. I mean, let's be completely honest. There is the slightest chance that it might happen, given that Blizzard has recently been hiring batches of new people and patching a lot of their a lot of their legacy games, to be compatible with like Windows 8 and Windows 10, and do bug fixes and resolution scaling and that kind of thing. StarCraft Brood War got a patch recently. I think Diablo 2 got a patch recently.
Warcraft 3 got
So,
one too.
Yeah, War 3 got one. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility. If anyone from Blizzard eventually does hear this podcast, please, for the love of God, patch Diablo 1 so I can fucking install it. Thank you. Because I don't want to have to set up like an emulation box or anything.
DOS box.
That's a pain in my ass. Yeah. So, but yeah, it would be cool. I'd like to see some more legacy support, and I understand that, you know, World of Warcraft is a living, breathing world that you go back and play through past events on as if they're current content, when you're at that level range. So, you know, maybe consistency would be cool. I don't know. You know, not everybody can kill the Lich King 15 times. I'm just saying.
Not every vanilla raid needed to be repurposed.
Yeah. Or dungeon.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 was a thing. That's happening. It was an announcement for an announcement. Like, literally, they're like, we're doing it. Big reveal coming in June. Like, thanks, guys.
Wait till you see what we've got to show you at E3. Oh, they're making Titanfall 2. Like, that would have been so much more elegant.
Right? Just like Respawn Entertainment presents E3 2016. See us there. Like, wait, what are they presenting? Oh, fuck, it's just Titanfall 2. God damn it.
Yeah.
So you could be disappointed in the future as opposed to being disappointed now that and then disappointed in.
Yeah, but you would be disappointed now anyway because you're like, oh, these are the Call of Duty guys. What the fuck else are they gonna do?
Fair enough. A MOBA action RTS FPS by the makers of Call of Duty. Fuck you. There is one way this is going, and it's aiming down the sights.
Speaking of things Overwatch could benefit from, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I actually like not having ADS. That actually fucked me up when I like picked Soldier 76, who's like the COD parody character, and I shot a Helix rocket at the wall instead of aiming down my sights. Right click, boys. That's a thing in Overwatch for some characters.
Very, very few.
Yeah, for some characters.
Yeah. So, other loose fighting game news. Killer Instincts 3.04 patch went live the beginning of this week, and 3.1 is I think, as we discussed, I don't know if it was prior to the podcast or before it. 3.1 is coming in a couple of weeks. 3.04 really just quote unquote fixed Glacius and Conra. Most importantly, Conra. That was
a mistake.
That was game breaking. Glacius had a bug that made him way better than he should have been. But Conra basically soft locked the game.
Glacius
Arya
also had some pretty severe issues there, though. Like I think you're underselling it a bit.
Probably. Arya didn't get touched because looping stand roundhouse isn't a bug; it's a feature. And no balance anything, but it was mostly just a hot fix for these game breaking issues. 3.1 probably going to fix Arya's stand roundhouse loop and introduce some balance changes to some characters. And 3.1 is going to be when we see our first new character, who is Mira.
I think so.
Who is Maya's supposedly dead sister or some such shit.
Maybe. I'm not big on the lore. I like the punching.
Yeah. So, I'm curious to see what kind of character she is, having relation to a pre-existing character in the series, one who has a very unique mechanic with those daggers.
Who also got a complete rework at the start of the season.
Yeah, and is also one of my absolute worst matchups, because pretty much anybody with good zoning or better rushdown than Riptor just kind of shits on her. So, yeah, that was a thing. And then sort of the thing that would not get off my Twitter feed for the last 48 hours. Let's talk about Ghost in the Scarjo real quick. Because I think that needs to happen. So somebody posted like a list of a lot of the confirmed actors and actresses for the live action remake of the Ghost in the Shell movie. Number one, I don't really feel like this needs to fucking happen. Number two, I'm pretty sure they're gonna butcher it in one way or another. And number three, so Scarlett Johansson is playing the leading lady, Motoko Kusanagi, which I don't know if you garnered anything from the name that I just spat out of my mouth, but does not sound remotely like anything that a white woman should be playing. As a Japanese character in a Japanese, as a Japanese character in Japan. So basically a bunch of people were fucking up in arms about that, which are like the opposite of all of the people that were just like I think it's funny that the same people that lashed out about Johnny Storm being a black guy in the new Fantastic Four, those are not the same people that are angry about Scarlett Johansson playing an Asian woman. Like, we're not really mad about race representation in Hollywood. Per se, unless that race is white, then we're mad about it.
Yeah, taking roles away from white people, perfectly okay. Giving roles to white people, not okay.
Yeah. So, here's that's kind of a thing that a lot of people have been really angry about. Somebody kind of posted a list for a lot of the other cast. There are a couple of other characters that are quote unquote whitewashed. I mean, if they can do the job and they're the person that you found that like fits what you want to do with them, like, okay, go for it. For some reason, I never paint anime characters as like racial unless there's like specifically a character that's like, that's the black guy, like what was it, or that's the ethnic dude, fucking Pedro from Excel Saga. Like that guy was an ethnic caricature. But like I don't ever paint, like, of course it fucking like Love Live, it's a fucking like J-pop idol group, like of course they're all fucking Asian. Like Ghost in the Shell takes place in Japan, like of course they're all like, it's not a thing that like really registers to me for whatever bizarre reason. Like and maybe it was just his build, because I don't tend to see a lot of Japanese characters that are like the stereotypical like bodybuilder style like frame. So Bato, I probably would have been totally okay with him just being white. Like, whatever, fuck it, he's massive. And that's 100% the cybernetics, obviously. Also, another thing is like that kind of feels like it's almost going to be a botch is like fucking like, is Scarlett Johansson, and maybe I haven't watched enough of her movies, but is she just chill with being like totally like buck ass nude on the screen? Because that happens in more than a couple of scenes in Ghost in the Shell.
They're probably going to cut that out and make it a PG-13 movie to reach a wider audience.
Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck your movie. Fuck your casting job. Like, that. Okay. Like, say what you want about how the thermoptic camouflage is 100% inconsistent between like the original Gets movie and standalone complex. Like, she had to be buck ass nude for that to work in the first movie, which kind of makes sense as like a dermal implant, like as a cybernetic implant, like for that to be in your body and like just a part of your skin. It's not going to work if you have clothes. Then you're just going to be the fucking Invisible Man. You're going to be a pair of pants and a jacket running around. So, and then, you know, they changed that so that they could get like a primetime anime TV slot. Like, that's fucking okay, whatever. There's that whole opening sequence where her cybernetic body is like being constructed that I feel is like really core to the sort of like philosophical I don't want to say debate, but sort of discussion about that movie. Like, are we really human? Aren't we? It's effectively a machine giving birth to a machine that is a human. And that whole like, what does it mean to be human? Are we machine? Do we have a soul? That whole kind of thing. I feel like that's really integral to it, and that's not the same if you just birth her in clothes. I mean, obviously you can make quote unquote creative editing decisions and just kind of have shit covered. But that was one of the things that I was kind of like worried was going to be removed. Because I find that like a very integral part of Ghost in the Shell. Also, the other thing that was like a big fucking deal about it was not only did we cast Scarlett Johansson as like the main Japanese female lead in Japan, we then tried to use visual effects, makeup, and like CGI to try and make her look more Asian. Fuck you, cast an Asian woman! How hard is your job?
Yeah, no. See, here's my thoughts on things that have been said since I last spoke. which has been a while.
Yeah.
I think at this point we can. Well, it wasn't just you. That Jason got some words in there. I think at this point we can all agree that trying to attract a wider audience is Hollywood speak for attract a whiter audience. Does anyone disagree here?
No.
Okay. And the second point is the script is probably complete and total garbage anyway because it was written by a white person. Like that. At this point, it's based on in name only. It's gonna be complete garbage. It's not really gonna be Ghost in the Shell. It's gonna be as much Ghost in the Shell as The Matrix was, and we all know how that fucking turned out.
I was gonna say, on that note, like, not that I want to hand the Wachowski sisters more money, but I think they would have done a better job. Like, there was Ghost in the Shell littered all throughout The Matrix. Like, I feel like fundamentally they would have put together a better Ghost in the Shell movie. And if not, probably, you know, would have at least cast somebody more fitting for the role.
Keanu Reeves now playing the Major.
I'd still go see that fucking movie.
I would too.
I would buy that movie on DVD and I would play it at parties for people I hate.
Lawrence Fishburne playing Bato. Like, just bring the entire crew back. Can we catch lightning in a bottle twice?
Oh my god. does that make Trinity Aramaki, or what are we doing here?
We're burning it all to the ground. We don't care anymore.
Oh my god. No, the Keanu Reeves as the Major and fucking Lawrence Fishburne as I can totally see that now. That's probably the worst fucking
It
part.
would probably be better than what's actually being made.
Yeah.
Why are we
That's
not
probably
funding
it.
this?
Oh man. So, fuck. That's about all I had on the list. Do we have any other miscellaneous news or gaming news or other such shit to talk about?
No, I haven't come across anything.
What are you guys doing Danganronpa on the stream? Is that this coming week?
I vaguely asked about that earlier and didn't receive a response, so I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah, I still need to think about that because I don't know if I just want to like cut shit off and go directly into Danganronpa, or if I'd at least want to try and finish off Uncharted first. So, I figured I've got a couple days to make that decision.
Fair enough.
I mean, we could always it's not like a prologue or chapter 1 is going to be particularly hard, so we could just do it on Friday for a few weeks until you do wrap those up. It's not going to be a huge day.
Yeah, if anything, I probably at least finish off Uncharted, and then Tuesday will be, do Tuesday, Friday, Danganronpa, keep Monday Metal Gear Solid, or I'll figure something out.
Cool. Well, I think that's gonna do it. Unless Psychotic's got anything else that we want to raise a ruckus about.
Not really.
Nah.
Cool. So thanks to everybody for tuning in to this episode of the Zero Tolerance VODcast. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out all those links down below. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook. You're already on YouTube, so hit us up on Twitch. For the record, I am... Oh, and definitely swing by the... or Psychotic, if you could, in the description. Stick that Discord link in there, too. Just hit us up. If we're sitting at a computer, we're sitting in Discord, so feel free to come by and text or voice chat with us. We definitely appreciate it. This episode is powered by Discord. That's what you use because Skype is a flaming piece of shit. So from all of us here at Zero Tolerance Games, my name's been Nick Latency, and I've been joined by the one and only
Psychotic Kelly and
our good friend
Jason Cupcake Troll Gordon.
So from all of us here, good luck out there and have fun.
Lights.